As the court pleases, my lord, so may I continue?
Yes, you may.
Sir, before the break, we were busy with, let's say, the personal circumstances.
Just speak a little bit louder, Mr. Engelberg.
Before the break, we were busy with the personal circumstances of applicant number 6. Applicant number 6 also testified before this honorable court that is in a position to pay an amount of 62,000 Namibian dollars as an amount for bail.
Yes, it is his proposal.
Furthermore, he also testified because he's unemployed that the money of bail he would be assisted by his family and his friends.
Yes, that could be.
He also testified that he's willing to be subjected to any bail conditions, more particularly in order to report to Ochomuse police station.
This was his testimony.
So would you have a problem if bail conditions be attached when it comes to applicant number 5, applicant number 6, as far as reporting and further bail conditions of which the court deemed fit?
I do have a problem, that's why I'm opposing bail.
And what is that problem? So what is your fear?
It's just the grounds that I have already given in my testimony in chief.
And do you also agree with me that the grounds of which you put forth can also be curbed by bail conditions, not to interfere, not to abscond?
I know, but I'm not considering bail conditions.
Sir, can you verify the residential address of applicant number 6?
Yes, I did verify.
So you can confirm that is indeed 6411 Commersdal.
That's correct. We have the deed of sale.
Okay. And you have already testified to the fact that he make himself during July and September to the office of the ACC. Is that so?
That is what we have said.
And you also agree with me that there was able time for him to disappear if there was any reason for him to do so?
There was time.
But he have not done so.
Because you don't know what he was facing.
While you and your colleagues interview him pertaining to the matter before court, if there was any reason for him, he could have done so, sir. Is that so?
I cannot say that.
Everybody? You agree with me that during the interviews you asked certain questions, and if there was any reason for him to fear this particular matter, you could have run, disappeared.
That time that person was not arrested, and he did not see the difficulties of facing this trial.
Are you sure, sir? Are you sure?
By that time, all the evidence was not put to him.
Okay. But at the time during the interviews, you asked him certain questions, sir.
He was asked. I did not interview him.
Okay. And you also agree that applicant number 6 make himself available to the office of the ACC in order to be arrested few days before Christmas.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Is that not a token that indeed that he have not fear? He called the office of the ACC through his lawyer and make himself available.
I don't know what was in his mind.
Beg your pardon?
I don't know what was in his mind.
Have you at any particular point in time interviewed applicant number 6?
Applicant number 6. I did not interview him.
Okay. Thank you. And the same would apply that all witness statements have already been obtained related to applicant number 6 as well.
I cannot conclude that to say that all the witnesses were obtained.
But as it currently,
Currently, written statements have been obtained, yes.
from your knowledge, from June 2020 up to date, did applicant number 6 interfere with police investigations?
Not to what I'm aware of.
According, as far as your knowledge is concerned, from July up to date, applicant number 6 interfere with any state witnesses?
Not.
And you also know that you have already received the contents disclosure of this particular matter during May 2021.
That's correct.
So, let's take the scenario. If any person is failing to appear in court, is there certain remedies that the police or ACC have to the disposal in order to trace?
There are such, but then that is what we are opposing not to be done, because we don't want to go those roads.
But there is indeed a remedies that you can follow.
There are remedies, but that can cause the delay in this trial.
Okay. In this particular instance, applicant number 6, he was out of town on the 14th of December. He was in the north. There is his testimony. Came all the way from the north to Windhoek in order to be arrested, sir.
If he is saying so, yes.
Beg your pardon?
If he is saying so, I'm not aware where he was.
Okay. But you can also not dispute that.
I cannot dispute that. What I know is that on that particular day, he was not at work.
Have you, how do you say he was not at home?
He was not at work.
At work.
That's correct.
He also testified under oath that during that time he was not at work because of the regulations that was in place at the time, COVID regulations, so he was not at work, sir. They was working at certain point and then they were off. That is the reason that he was not at the office, sir. That is his testimony.
Yeah, that is his testimony.
Have you tried to call him in order to avail himself, sir?
The mandate of arresting him or executing the arrest was given to, by that time, Chief Investigating Officer Mr. Kurst, who was in Ochuarongo. As I indicate that time I was on leave, so I cannot confirm whether he was called or he was not called.
Why, Chief Ochuarongo, while he's residing in Windhoek, applicant number 6?
I'm sorry, I was referring to applicant number 5. Sorry, my lord.
What about applicant number 6, sir?
Applicant number 6, as I said, the warrant of arrest was issued at the same time. By that time, I was not around.
Okay. Sir, let me ask you, you have yesterday extensively, by applicant numbers 4, lawyer have asked you questions about low-key investment. Is that so?
That is correct.
So the answers that you provide yesterday, would the same apply to applicant number 5 and applicant number 6?
If it's with regarding to payments, yes.
The same would apply when it comes to the questions yesterday as far as Skeleton Coast and Deep Ocean. Would the same answers be applicable or apply to applicant number 5 and 6?
That's correct, yes.
So I want, yesterday when you testify, you were very much at pains sometimes to explain when it comes to payments, because you are still under the belief that third-party payments was a big issue for you. Is that so?
How big issue? Maybe
We have
just
problems
explain.
with third-party payments.
Yes, correct, yes.
With respect, sir, do you understand what is third-party payments?
What I understand third-party payments in this regard is payments that were made to companies that were not or who did not enter into an agreement with Fishrot or with its subsidiaries.
Okay. No. Was there any agreements, according to your knowledge, applicant number 5 and applicant number 6 with Deep Ocean, according to the emails of yesterday? Low-key investment. They start off with low-key investment.
Yes, I believe there are agreements.
Okay. Now, sir, let me demonstrate, and I would be simple with my demonstration.
So, Mr. Engelbrecht, I just don't want you to be. You are asking whether, from the questions of yesterday, there are agreements between low-key investment and the fifth and sixth applicant.
Yes, ma'am. Let me clarify.
No, is that what you asked?
Yes.
No, but you can't. There is no such testimony. The testimony is that the agreements were between Jaco and Wanakadu, and not the fifth and sixth respondents.
Indeed, so, my lord. So, you also yesterday, well, questions have been asked by counsel for number 4. We already established that the only issue as far as payments is concerned was the correction that tax invoices, it must be put as the tax invoices and not only tax invoices. Is that so?
Can you repeat again?
I will provide you with one document, sir, just in order for us. That is Z21, Rome, let's say 43, Rome number 43. You got a document in front of you, sir?
That's correct.
What is the picture on that document?
The picture.
The picture.
Oh, what depicted? It's an email that says, can you put tax invoice, please? The other two is already in process. I know you fly tomorrow, see if you can modify it before you fly.
Was there any problems about the description?
There was no any problem.
The unit price?
It's not indicated that it was a problem.
And the total?
That's correct.
The second issue I want to deal with you, and
Mr.
I make
Mr.
reference.
Engelbrecht, I'm at a loss as to what it is that you are asking.
The next topic.
No.
Okay.
Not
Let me.
You see, let me just explain. You were questioning this witness about an agreement, and then suddenly you just jumped and provided a tax invoice. What is the context?
Okay. Let me ask you like this, sir. What is the document in front of you first?
The document is an email
Between who and who?
between Jose Ramon Canosa and Wanyamba Investment Trust.
And what is in relation to which invoice? The invoice had been sent by whom? Or provided by whom? Is it fine seafood?
Let's talk about the last invoices of beneficiation fees 2018-2019.
For?
This could be for Wanyamba Investment Trust because it's invoices.
Okay. Now my question is that, was there any problem or complaint by the person that paid that particular invoice?
I did not pick up such a complaint.
What was the only request from them?
He was requesting the invoices to be indicated as tax invoices.
And that was the only complaint?
That's correct.
You also testify, more particularly in your evidence in chief, about the amount of 9 million plus VAT to a Fine Seafood Investment Trust. Can you recall that evidence, sir, of your testimony?
I can recall the testimony.
Okay. I will provide you now with a document, sir. It's already exhibited before this court. That would be D2. No, beg your pardon, my lord, Z28 in the file 208. You got it, sir?
That's correct. I got it.
And this document is coming from whom to whom?
It came from Mike Ngipunya to Egir Al Nasser,
And what was the date?
16 July 2019.
According to your investigations, was there any reply on that particular letter, sir? A response?
I never saw a response to this letter.
Okay. Have you followed up that information, sir, in order to come and testify that indeed that you are certain that there was no reply, there was no response?
During investigation, we visit Fishrot. We get the documentation related to what we are investigating, and we did not come across any response to this letter.
A reply?
A reply.
Was any governmental objective of fish quota being issued on that particular letter by Fisco?
By Fisco, I know Fisco was giving some quotas to the Samiri group, of which Egil Anderson is also a manager.
Okay, sir. Let's confine us to the letter in front of you. On that particular letter, you already confirmed there was no reply, there was no response. My question is simple. Was any fish quota being awarded?
I believe so.
Okay. So now you believe?
Yes, I
Okay.
believe so.
Except you believe, is there any documentation to that effect?
Although there are not documentations, since there were payments made with regard to this letter, I believe they were given quotas.
Okay, sir. The court have on many occasions said that it's not the time now in your beliefs We are here to deal with the facts.
But if I say I believe so, I can say so.
No, but you don't have the facts in order to support your
What I'm
beliefs.
saying is that there were payments made based on this letter.
And what is that?
And payment cannot just be made just as a payment. And it was indicated in this letter that it should be paid under government objectives.
That is exactly my point, sir. Now, my question is that, and it is simple, sir. Was any governmental objection, any fish quota being issued pertaining to that letter, yes or no?
There was quotas given.
Okay.
You can say so.
Do you have any proof for that, sir?
There are agreements that were entered into.
No, sir. That agreements have nothing to do with that letter in front of you.
But the payments that were made, the agreements entered into, they were based on government objective quotas.
Okay. Now, let's make it simple for you. Can you please read the letter into the record, sir?
Okay, the letter is under the heading Support for the Supply of Fish Feed for Aquaculture. The above subject matter bears reference. As part of our continued support towards aquaculture development and promotion in the country, I would like to authorize your company to support the procurement of fish feed for aquaculture projects in the different regions. These farms, as well as will be communicated, are pivotal for food security, income generation, and capacity building within the different communities. The total support needed is approximately 9 million and will be done through the relevant entities in the supply and trade of fish feed business. This initiative will be supported through tonnages of quota within the governmental objectives. I would like to thank you for your continued support. Please accept my highest consideration in this regard.
Okay.
Sincerely, Mike Mupunga, Group Chief Executive Officer.
And we have now established that they have not replied, they have not said yes, they have not said no, they have not said whether or not their interest. Is that so? They have not given any feedback.
Yes, but the payments were done
By whom?
by the Sameri Group.
Okay, and why have they paid, according to you?
They paid based on the invoices that were given to them, that were submitted to SAGA. And those invoices, they were indicating that it is for the supply of such fish feed.
Okay. Now, that letter basically say that if you are interested, we will provide you through the relevant entities in supply. Then we said they will provide quota in relation governmental objectives pertaining to this letter. Is that so?
They never say if they are interested. He said he authorized them.
Okay, so now read the paragraph. Starts with the total support needed.
The total support needed is approximately 9 million and will be done through the relevant entities in the supply and trade of fish feed. This initiative will be supported through tonnage of quota within the governmental objectives.
Okay.
I don't see where they say if you are interested.
But they have not there was no response, they have not replied, and Fish Corps have not awarded them with a quota, fish quota, relating to that letter. Is that so?
I said we have received quotas.
Do you have any
That is my conclusion.
Do you have any documentation in order to support that allegation, sir?
We have payments that were made, that were effected.
Payments?
Yes.
From whom?
From Saga Seafood
To whom?
to Fund Seafood Investment
And then
Trust.
you conclude without any reply, without any response, without a fish quota being issued, that is the payment.
That's correct.
But you don't have any supporting documents to that effect.
Supporting documents is the invoices that were provided to us indicating that the payment was done for such purpose.
That's because you think so. You don't have any supporting documents, sir.
That is the only support document.
But it's not there's just a letter, sir.
There were supporting documents, invoices that I'm referring to.
So, what you want us to believe, there was a letter, and subsequent to that, 3 months down the line, Exhibit Z28-1, there was an invoice, Fine Seafood Investment Trust, and payments have been done by SACA to Fine Seafood Investment Trust. Is that so?
That's correct.
And you want us to believe that it's because of that letter?
The letter was provided to us with a statement under oath, and those invoices were attached. The statement is saying that those invoices, it was submitted with that letter.
Okay. Now that payment was coming from SACA Seafood Pty Limited. Is that so?
That's correct.
So that money belongs to SACA Seafood Pty Limited. Is that so?
Which is a Samiri Group company.
Have they made any criminal charge against Fine Seafood Investment Trust or the trustee?
They did not.
Why not? If you follow it up with them?
They were part of the syndicate, so they could not make a case against each other.
So now yet again you make allegations and that you have no supporting documents to that effect, sir. You cannot support that allegation.
What support documents?
You cannot support your allegations, sir. That's what you think.
Which allegation, Your Lordship? I did not clearly get the question. Which allegation is not supported by documents? The syndicate.
Let him answer himself.
As it pleases the court.
Mr.
I said these are companies.
There's an objection and a clarification question.
Let me explain. We start off with a letter,
That's correct.
set 28. Now you want us to believe that whatever payments follow was based on that letter.
Payment on the 2 invoices that I just referred to.
And we have also then established that there was no reply of interest from SACA Seafood, and Fishrot had not issued them with any quota to that effect. Is that so?
I will not to say that they did not receive quotas. They might have received quotas, that's why they make a payment.
You said might.
Because it was indicated that this payment will be paid under government objective quotas. So they were given quotas.
So throughout the up to date, sir, if you establish that, whether or not fish quota have been issued or given to SACA Seafood on that letter.
Although not on this letter, I know Fiscal entered into agreements with SACA Seafood under government objectives.
Because Mr. Ueitele have testified and give an explanation before this court, it was a private engagement between him and SACA Seafood for payments that he received, and unfortunately that company had not come back to him, sir, and that is willing, if they sue them, to refund them, sir. That is his testimony.
That is his testimony.
Okay.
And I'm not agreeing with his testimony.
But he have not been challenged under cross-examination, sir.
I was not here when he was testifying.
Let's move on. Then there was a document Z24-199 in the disclosure. And much has been said about this particular document. It's relating the opening of an account.
What page is it?
199, sir.
Yes?
You got it?
Yeah, I got it.
You agree with me that this account, or the account name, Fine Seafood Investment Trust,
That's correct.
and at the time, can you perhaps inform us who opened this account?
The
Clients,
account was opened by Otniel Nandetonga.
and then he go a little bit further than that. Occupation, he said, self-employed.
That's correct.
Was it wrong?
I don't know whether he was self-employed by that time.
He was self-employed when it comes to Fine Seafood Investment Trust. Sir.
Yes, I will believe so.
Let's move on.
Sorry? Can you repeat the statement to the...
He said he believes so.
No. The question that you put.
At the time, when they opened this account in the name of Fine Seafood Investment Trust, was he self-employed? That was my first question. In relation to Fine Seafood Investment Trust.
Where do you get that? That the question is in relation to... The question is, are you employed?
No, but
So how do you qualify that the question relates to his employment in relation to fine seafood?
because the account has been opened.
No, you go to a bank, you apply to open, you ask your employment status, not with respect to a specific entity.
My Lord, with respect, let me, the document in front of us. If I go to the bank,
You know what you are telling me? When I keep on saying, when you say with respect, it's just trying to tell me that I'm talking nonsense. And I'm not talking nonsense. I'm just telling you that when you go to apply for an account, you are asked your employment status, not in relation to something specific, but it's in relation to your employment status. Now I'm asking you, where in this document is it indicated that I'm asking your employment status with respect to Saga Seafood?
my Lordship,
I'm sorry if the tone,
no, I accept that, my Lord.
yeah, I'm sorry if the tone is
When it comes to
but
that,
I'm normal.
No, I take note of that, my Lord.
Yes.
And there's no hard feelings as far as that issue is also concerned. When it comes, let's go to employment details on Z24.
It's the same document.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Now, this question, employment details, was it in relation to this particular document or to any other document, sir?
I don't get your question.
When they ask on this document, employment details for the account of Fine Seafood Investment Trust, what was your understanding?
I don't know what was being discussed between the applicant and the official who assisted him in the bank. So I cannot explain what is meant by here.
Okay. Sir, you also testify, more particular when it comes to a CC by the name of Vanakaru Investment CC, more particular and related to the dry fish. Is that so?
That's correct.
Were you involved in this particular investigation, sir? Or was it done by Mr. Ueitele?
It was dealt with by Mr. Olivier and Mr. What I believe.
So you only receive documentation and then you file it in your file. Is that so?
I read through the documentations, I put in the file, I give further instructions if there was, where it was necessary.
Okay, first let's go to page 298.
Yes, I'm there.
You got it.
Yes, I get it.
So what is the document in front of you?
The document is a pro forma invoice.
What is the name of the company that appears there on the document? Is the picture? The government, the disclosure from Fishrot file, page 298. It's also marked F21 on the right-hand corner. I also believe that I'm not sure. It must be an exhibit before this court already.
File stops at 279 and then it goes to 387. It's exhibit what? Is it marked as an exhibit? Okay.
Z40?
Z40.
No, beg your pardon.
Your Lordship, there are two pages, 298. There's 298 and then 298A.
What is the exhibit number?
Unfortunately, on this document, I do not have anything written on it as an exhibit number, but at the top is written F21. It's before the bank statement of, this is what, Flamingo and Flight Catering, which is Z40.
It's before the Z40.
Yes, Your Lordship.
Okay, yeah. 298 is the Flamingo commodity supply.
Indeed, my lord, sir. So is it also the same document that you have?
I think it appears then that that document was not given an exhibit number.
Most likely, Your Lordship. I don't have
from
anything
my
written.
documents, it says it wasn't given an exhibit number.
My lord, so while we're on that particular score, would it then be convenient for us now to mark this as exhibit?
That will be FF.
As the court pleases. So what is the name of the close corporation?
Flamingo Commodity Supplies CC.
And there's also a date 12 June 2020, is that so?
That's correct.
And there's also a code number.
That's correct.
And what is the code number?
Code number is indicated as June/2016-08.
Okay. You also testified evidence in chief that Vanakaro Investment CC issue an invoice to Fishrot for payments. Is that so?
I testify about the delivery note, not the invoice.
So you have not seen Z39, the invoice dated 8 July. You have not seen that document?
If it is the one that was attached to the letter to Fishrot, yes, I saw the document.
So you only testify as far as the delivery note is concerned. Is that so?
No, there was also an invoice that they say it was attached to the letter. I can recall now.
Okay. But you testify that indeed there was a delivery note. Is that so?
That's correct.
Who signed off that delivery note?
It was Miss Carolina Brender.
Have you, at any particular point in time, up to date, interviewed her?
She was interviewed and statements were taken from her
And
by my colleagues.
while Mr. Mapopi testified He said that indeed he sent this particular, let's say, a letter of interest first, as well as the accompanying documents, and that he have received payment after the delivery note has been signed off. Is that so?
That was his testimony. I was not here when he was testifying.
Well, you're also on the issue of the person that signed off, say Caroline Randall.
If I can remember the name correct, yes.
And you also testify that she make a phone call to the CEO at the time in order to verify whether or not such products have been received.
I can only recall testifying that she said she was instructed to sign off the delivery note.
And why did she just sign if, according to, who gave instructions to sign off the document?
She said she was instructed by Mr. Mike Mupunga.
During the course of your investigation, have you obtained any statements more pertaining when it comes to drought relief assistance from Fishrot? What is the process that should be followed? Which office is responsible for that?
The dry fish program is a government objective, and we do have statements that saying that the only office that was dealing with government objectives is the office of Mr. Mike Mupunga.
Okay. Have you obtained any statement from any person from the office of the CEO at the time dealing with this kind of documentation, draft relief program, sir?
We were taught he was the only one who was employed at fiscal level.
Have you engaged his personal assistant at the time by the name of Selma?
I cannot confirm whether she was engaged.
So you don't know?
I did not carry out the investigation and read the risk. It was my colleague who were doing it.
If you ask applicant number 4 whether or not, as far as his knowledge is concerned, that he received the products as ordered or payments that have been effected, sir?
I did not ask him.
If you ask any questions to Mr. applicant number 4 pertaining to this particular product, sir?
I did not ask him. As I say, I was not dealing with him.
Okay. Then you testify also in your evidence in chief. Let's stick to Exhibit FF. That later on, during the course of your investigation, it comes to light that this particular Flamingo community supply CC is no longer in operation, or according to BIBA.
It was never in operation
No.
since it was not existing.
Yes.
What any other investigation have you done in order to establish whether or not this company exists, sir?
It's only through BIPA where we can get the existence. It's where all the companies are being registered. I don't know any other avenues.
You see, what is of interest for me? There's also a PO Box 1036, Windhoek, Namibia.
Yes?
Did you follow up that information with NAMPOS?
No, I did not.
Why not?
I was not interested in the PO box.
Have you observed the PO Box at the time, sir?
What do you mean, observe?
You said that you were not interested. Have you seen this document before, sir?
This one?
Yes.
I saw it only when it was submitted with the statement of Mr. Mapopi to Mr. Olifi.
Now my question is that you or ACC members follow up that PO Box in order to
We did not follow
establish.
it up.
My question then is, why not?
I cannot give a reason as to why it was not followed.
So therefore you don't know whether or not that PO Box exists, or the owner of that particular PO Box can perhaps assist whether or not they know such a company at the time.
But the company is not existing. Otherwise, it could be registered with BIPA.
Let's go to Exhibit V.
V for Veronica.
Yes.
And that is on page.
Unfortunately, in my document, there's no number. It is just marked in the right-hand corner, F13. Or we can then even go to Exhibit V1, page 295.
The F14 that you're referring, is it a letter?
No, there's a bank statement, sir. But the same information is also on Exhibit V1, page 295. You got that one?
Yes, I do have that one.
What is of interest for me on this particular statement is that on the right-hand corner, it's a sole member, Vanakaru Investment CC. Is that so?
That's correct.
Do you agree with me that it said sole member, that is the only member in that particular CC of a person that the interest? Is that so?
That's it, how I understand it also.
The reason why I ask you that question is that in the Deloitte report, there's also allegations that applicant number 4 have an undisclosed interest in this particular CC. Can that be right?
Based on the findings of Deloitte, yeah, for those agreements that were entered into,
No, Sam, that's not my question. This gentleman is the sole member of Vanakaru Investment CC.
that is the information provided when he opened an account.
Have you checked the founding statement when it comes to Vanakaru Investment CC, sir?
Yes, I did.
And who's the only member?
Mr. Mwapopi?
So therefore, on documentation, we can conclude that he's the only sole member, sir. Is that so?
That's correct.
Mr. Andrew, what does it mean when a person says it's an undisclosed?
They make the allegation that somebody else,
It's a hidden,
indeed,
so he won't be registered anymore.
my lordship, I'm not here to...
No, you see what? Remember, and you are going to debate these issues with me. And you are putting it to this witness. And those are issues that have got, it's legal concepts that you are debating with a witness, and you are not conveying the, you see, if he had said he was a member, it's a different testimony, but the testimony is, it's an undisclosed, it's a hidden pattern. So it can't contradict the sole membership issue.
So noted, my lordship.
Yeah.
Sir, you also testify during evidence in chief, more particular on V1,
Which is page?
295. Draw your attention to dated 15 July.
15 July, yes, I'm there.
There's a transaction, and it only reflect on the bank statement as Flamingo. Is that so?
That's correct.
If it have not reflected Flamingo in-flight catering, is that so?
The statement doesn't reflect so, yes.
But when you testify your evidence in chief, you go a little bit further than that. And you said 15 July, the money that have been paid over was indeed to Flamingo in-flight catering Pty Limited, sir.
That's correct.
Based on what? on the statement of 15 July, it is only reflected as Flamingo, the same company, similar name, of which applicant number 6 testified that he was dealing his supplier.
It was based on the flow of the money. Our findings on the flow of the money after they were paying, after Fishrot paid.
And your Lordship is not completely correct to say that it's based on this statement. The bank statement of Flamingo in-flight catering was also submitted, as Z40 testified on it as well.
Do you want to reply to the objection?
I'm just going to page 295. And I draw your attention to 15 July. You agree with me that is only reflected on the bank statement as Flamingo, sir?
That's correct.
Okay. And applicant number 6 testify that he received that information from his supplier.
Which information?
The banking details from a certain Mr. Nicky. Can you dispute that, sir?
That was his testimony. He was not here when he was testifying.
Did you ask him any questions about Nicky, sir? You yourself?
I did not ask him.
Did you yourself ask Mr. Applicant number 6 in order to accompany you to the house or business address of Mr. Nicky?
I did not.
Do you know perhaps when this information has been followed up by the members of the ACC?
I know they were followed up and the statements were obtained from the wife of the alleged deceased Mr. Nico.
I'm referring to the person that he provided to the ACC, his supplier, the name of the supplier. Yet you asked him questions during your first interview in order to obtain a statement from him.
I did not interview Mr. Mwapopi.
My Lordship, can I just perhaps ask the court's indulgence for another 5 minutes just to make sure that I have covered all issues and take any further instructions?
You want a 5 minutes break?
Indeed, my Lord.
All right. It's 3:15. I'll give you 10 minutes.
Yes, the court pleases.
We come back at 25 after 10. After 3. Court will rise.